Alright, what is up? This is SLOplays, and I am back at again with another Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 discussion video. Let's talk about custom character movesets and combos, okay? This is kind of like a class-based system that I'm thinking of. They kind of briefly, I guess, touched upon this with CAC races, as well as the selection of being more of an up-close and personal fighter, more of a, you know, far from the back range fighter, or you could do like a combo of both, okay? And I think it'd be cool if we could mix and match this. I don't know how complex it could potentially get if they are actually going to integrate something like this. I think they did say something on the Steam page of there being like, you know, weapons being used, but at the same time, I don't know if that's actually used within like actual fighting combos or if it's just from like skills, okay? It could be either or, both. We'll see, all right? It remains to be seen with a lot of this stuff. It's mainly speculation, mainly a discussion for fun, and something a lot of you guys have requested for me to do. So be sure to drop a like, subscribe here on the channel, and ring my notification bell, guys. If you want to see more Xenoverse 3 videos, again, we are most likely, not confirmed 100%, but most likely going to be getting something here pretty soon, probably via Summer Game Fest, which I believe is on Friday at the time of uploading this. It'll be a couple days before. So look forward to Summer Game Fest, okay? The main showcase on that will probably have maybe, I don't know, a trailer. Hopefully, we'll see. But let's talk about this because I'm only going to kind of go over a few, I mean, mainly 6 categories, right? You're kind of seeing them on screen right here, but I made a different layout for this, okay? This is all just something that I made. This isn't, like, official or anything because people, for whatever reason, think some of this stuff is like, oh, you have a picture. Oh, my God. No, it's just a visual. So Type A, martial arts. A Type B, ranged, okay? That would be more of like, you know, far from the back, key blast, magic, all that stuff, right? Type C, weapon. I know sword fighter is kind of the one that a lot of people would want, including myself. You know, my custom character that I use, I put a sword on him. I gave him Trunks' sword. So I've always wanted to use a sword in my combos, so that would be peak, right? I know a lot of people want to use some type of weapon. It could be a staff, you know, kind of like what is it, Whis has, in a sense, like he used that. What is Vados has that. We have Janemba, Tapion, they use swords, and then you have other weapons like guns, okay? Glorio, Chilai, the Gammas, they all use guns, right? Anything that would be considered a weapon that could either be, you know, close or long range would be pretty cool in a moveset, right? Type D, this is kind of where it gets a little bit more specific. Regeneration, I don't really know if that could be like a moveset type necessarily, but I don't know, characters mainly like Piccolo or even Janemba or Kid Buu, where, you know, they can regenerate or heal, right? Like a healer in a sense, okay? Something like that. I guess would be kind of cool. That's more of like a category in like the class, right? And again, different races could be categorized as that as well. But like, I don't know, it would be cool if you could integrate something in the moveset. And then we have a defensive fighter, which is someone like the androids, right? I think the androids are a perfect example of that because they do have a lot of defensive-based stuff. Android 17, primarily, like Super 17, for example. Moves that are counters, moves that can, you know, create shields and stuff, like barriers. You know, a lot of that stuff would be like skills, right, in a sense, but I don't know, maybe they could integrate it into the moveset where it's like, I don't know if you like do a combo or like I mean, like I said, a counter, right, within the moveset. I don't know if that's even possible. These are just examples of things that I think would sound cool, right? Then we have a speed-based, right? Speed-based characters, right? Who have like the fastest combos. They probably would do less damage, right? Somebody like Birder or Dispo, right? The fastest in the universe. Those are good character examples of that, right? So that's what I kind of have right here, and I wanted to kind of go over like specific characters that could give you stuff like this, right? And again, I don't know if it would be at the foundation, at the base. I would personally like it like this, to where when you're making your character, you would have like a set specific small amount of movesets you can pick that are very generalized, right? That at least change up the combos. And then, you know, if you want to, you can always change it later. I think that'd be kind of nice. Again, this is gonna get really complex, because then it's like we're also taking into account the different races, right? Because different races have different movesets slash, you know, combos and shit, right? But yeah, you just have a foundation of a few movesets that you can select, okay? That would be nice. And then maybe the races that you pick would already have like a base moveset like you normally have in Xenoverse 2. So think of it like Xenoverse 2, okay? You have all the races, and you have their normal character movesets that they just have, right? But that's all being carried over to Xenoverse 3. But if you want to, okay, it's optional, completely optional, you can switch to something else. Like, oh, well, I want my Frieza race character to be able to use a gun. Like, you know what I mean? Something crazy like that. So then you would select the weapon wielder or the weapon fighter, you know, moveset or whatever. Or I want my, you know, Namekian fighter to be more ranged. Okay, I want him to have, you know, ki blast integrated within the combos and stuff, right? So something like that. But like a martial arts fighter, okay, that's more of like your melee, okay, melee Goku type of vanilla. This is like your vanilla character, okay? A foundation base, like simple, you know, character with very simple combo strings, maybe using stuff from Goku, okay? Then you got like a ranged moveset. Again, something like Vegeta, who uses a lot of ki blasts and stuff. Oh, that's Vegeta's technique, you know, that type of shit, right? So like within the combos and stuff, it would have that. And obviously this stuff, I think, would also potentially change stats and everything. So it's like, oh, well, if you do select a ranged fighter, obviously your character is going to have more ki and blast-based, you know, I guess, stat distribution compared to a melee or martial arts fighter, which would have more melee, like physical-based stuff, right? And then we have a weapon fighter, okay? Now, a weapon fighter could be more probably, you know, melee-based, because weapons, for the most part, are more close range. You know, there can always be a long-ranged weapon, like a gun, for example. But again, if it's a gun, it's not going to be like bullets necessarily, right? I think it would be more of like the gun would shoot like ki blast or whatever. So be something like, I guess, the Gammas, kind of like that. I think Chilai kind of has that or whatever as well. But I mean, there are characters that do use guns, like for example, Launch. She's like a very famous weapon wielder that just uses a machine gun or just like a fucking gun, right? Like Blicky, Glock, whatever you want to call it, any of that shit, right? So yeah, something like that. Maybe they'll be more, I guess, basic in terms of that. Like it would be, the stat distribution would be more generalized and just even, right? So something like that could work, I guess. But yeah, characters would be like Trunks, Tapion, Janemba, Dabura. Yeah. So, Regeneration Fighter, obviously they would probably have more health, right? That would make more sense. So, yeah, I don't know if that would even, like, because at the foundation, again, a lot of these characters, you're still going to be punching and shit. Like, there's going to be, like, you can't really change that up too much. But I'm saying, like, for example, a range fighter would at least have, like, ki blast integrated into the combos and shit, right? And, you know, again, these are just, like, ideas. And I'm sure you guys could come up with like better things. I just kind of threw this together last night, and I was just like thinking of like what would work, right? So Regeneration Fighter, I don't really know if that would make too much sense, but the move set that I would say it would be more like is like Piccolo combo strings, and maybe they're integrating other stuff, and it's like they can get original with it. They can make like original combos if they need to, but you know, maybe there are like hints and notes and shades of Piccolo in there, you know what I mean? And again, not every character can stretch their arms, right? Or use a tail. So it can't have any of that in there, right? It would have to be really, really basic ass shit where it's like, I'm just punching, and then maybe I do like a teleport into like a ki blast or something like that. Like that's the most it would get, but it would have more variety and it would look unique and different for each one, right? But yeah, you can let me know, guys, what you think about something like this, like a regeneration type of thing. Or something else. Again, it's like, I don't know how complex it will get, because it's like a class-based system, but then you have the races, and then you have the different stat distribution and stuff. We just want to see different move sets, right? We want to be able to have different combos at the end of the day. So defensive fighter, right? You know, have more defense stats in a sense. Xenoverse, I can't remember if it really has any of that. I don't think it does. When it comes to the stat chart, it's mainly like you have like health, you got ki, you got like melee, you have basic attack, right? Which are just like combos in a sense, right? But yeah, a defensive fighter would just be more characters that I guess would be like counter-based, have shields and shit that they would put up, have more health, obviously, too. So something like that. I think Super 17 is like the best example that I can think of. I just put Android 18 there because, you know, she's like really popular. These are just pictures that I'm using. And then a speed-based fighter, yeah, again, like, you know, stat distribution, like, that's another thing that I would really like to see is a more, like, specific, bigger variety when it comes to stats. I feel like what we have is fine, and I'm sure that's how it's just going to be because this is the sequel, but it'd be kind of cool to actually, like, oh, like, I want to be able to mess with the stats and shit, right? With speed and, you know, more defense and shit. So, yeah, Birder, Dispo, good example of that. These characters would obviously do less damage, but they would have faster combos. They would just be faster in terms of movement, speed, and everything. So, yeah, something like that. Other things that could come up are, like, power-based, right? Someone like Jiren, who is just going to be doing just more damage in general, right? But I guess you could kind of consider that being like just like martial arts where it'd just be like combos, like just like basic melee stuff. Not that Jiren is only melee based, like, you know, Goku, he uses ki and everything too. But I'm just saying, like, that's another example of something that I guess if you're trying to get more specific, kind of like with a speed fighter, you have a defense, speed, and then you have power, right? Which would be just like, you just do a shit ton of damage, okay? But maybe you're a little bit slower, you know, something like that. So that could be another one. You know, there would have to be things that compensate for other stats, right? So it's like if you have something high in one area, another area has to be much lower, right? Think of it like Pokemon, for example, right? If you have Pokemon, you have like special attacks and physical regular attacks. You have speed, you have defense. So some characters are like glass cannons where they're fast as fuck and they do a lot of damage, right? But they're also very brittle, okay? One attack, one touch, and they shatter, okay? So, you know, you always got to think about that. Or you have a defensive fighter who's bulky, right? A bulk team where it's like, oh, well, these characters have higher health, higher defense, maybe not as much of attack and very low speed, but maybe you can, you know, get creative with it and have more strategic moves and stuff, okay? I don't know if it would be like that with this game, but, you know, characters like Frost, they have secret poison where you can have status ailments and things. So it's like, this game can get really fucking complex. And I don't know if they're going to be like that, but it would be pretty cool. But at the same time, it's like, I do like how Xenoverse 2 is, right? Xenoverse 2 can get a little bit complex and it has a lot of things, but we've grown accustomed to it. So it's like, we kind of know the ins and outs of it. Whenever it gets too much where it's like, they're starting to do like skill trees and things, which is fine. You know, that's cool. I like that. But it starts to become too much to, you know, it's just too much to handle, right? For somebody like me who likes things to be a lot simpler, but at the same time, it's like they can get creative. I just want more variety for our characters to feel more unique in a sense, right? So if they do end up going that path where it's more RPG, you know, based stuff where it's like Kakarot, for example, where it's like you do have a skill tree, like I'm down for it. Don't get me wrong. I would just need some time to get used to it because, you know, with Xenoverse, it doesn't really have that. You just have the stat distribution and then just freedom of skills and stuff, right? Like you can't really change up the moveset. Your character movesets stay the same for the most part, unless like you're Saiyan and you transform into like God, and there's like, oh, you get an extra combo string, or like Beast is like, oh, you get an extra combo string in there, right? So something like that, I think it'd be kind of cool. Again, just a fun video. I'm sure you guys will have better ideas. I probably explain things like shit, but that's just because, I mean, I don't really play too many other games outside of what you normally see me play, which is like Dragon Ball and maybe like Zelda, Pokemon, Mario, and stuff. So it's like, you guys would probably have better examples of games that can, you know, do stuff like this. But this is just an idea that I think would be really cool. The main reason I came up with this okay, and why people are talking about it is mainly because we just want to use a fucking sword, right? We want to use sword combos, right? Sword combos would be really cool, right? It's still, you know, the foundation of Xenoverse, where it's like you're just doing basic combos that are physical based, but it's like it'd be cool to actually see the sword, like, you know, you pull out the sword and you're like actually doing it in your combos like that. That's what I really want over anything, but that's just me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions about it. Just a fun video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and take care.
This is Broly, and you are watching SLOplays. Make sure to subscribe, or else I'll destroy your entire planet.